The first step with any Addi or circular knitting machine project is to cast on. So I'm going to cast on my yarn. I'm going to find the first black hook. I'm going to place the yarn around underneath the black hook, and I'm going to gently turn my handle and start to put the yarn under every other hook. And again, it's every other hook. We'll get the yarn. And the more you do this, the quicker you'll get. Open up my yarn guide. Now, one of the things I always like to mention, always take a look around, all the way around, and make sure that all your yarn is evenly spaced, that there's no like three, these all look like they're underneath 2. You don't want it to be under 3 or underneath 1 and 1. Just make sure everything looks consistent and all the way around. So you open up your yarn guide, put the last bit of yarn around the white hook, which is right before the black. Close my yarn guide. I'm going to use the top feeder because I want this to be a little bit on the looser side. I'm going to put my counter on 0. And I'm going to go ahead and crank until I've used up almost all of the yarn in both skeins. So once that happens, I will meet you at the end. Actually, I'll meet you in the middle to show you how to join the second color. I've used up 1 skein of the Ferris wheel yarn, and I'm gonna now add my second skein. Here's where I left off. And I'm going to put this in the yarn guide, the new color. Make sure that this piece of yarn is right next to the other one. Close my yarn guide. Make sure that this first row I go slowly because I want to make sure all the yarn gets underneath the hook, especially on that first row. Then what I do is I'll tie it here. Do a surgeon's knot. Okay, and then I'm just going to keep cranking. Right now I'm on row 193, so I'm going to keep cranking till about row 300, and I'm going to see how it looks and what the measurements are, and I'll meet you when I get near row 300, and we can discuss what the next step is. Thank you. And I've now reached 320 rows. It used almost a skein and 3/4 of a skein, so I have some yarn left over to do the hat part. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the yarn, set it over to the side. I'm going to be using some contrasting waste yarn. And I'm going to make sure that this is on the one side of the white loop, the white hook, and this other one is going to be on this side of the black hook. So these are right next to each other. We're gonna add about, I'd say about between 5 and 6 rows of waste yarn. Just to be safe, maybe I'll just do 6. I usually do about 5, but I'll do a couple more. So again, the contrasting waste yarn, this is gonna give it, our hat portion, a nice edging. And as you can see, that's like a nice purplish color of yarn, which you can totally see the green against it. And then we'll remove that when we're done. This is going to be a really great idea on creating like a hat and a scarf all in one. Something unique. And I'm at 7 rows of waste yarn. I'm going to cut it. And now what's nice about using waste yarn is that I don't have to really cast off. Let me move my yarn from the guide, close my guide, and I'm gonna roll the center up. And again, just like I'm holding a pizza underneath, just keep my hand underneath as I'm slowly cranking. Because I want the stitches to naturally fall off, but I don't want to lose the waste yarn that's on there. The waste yarn could easily unravel because it's not really secured. As you can see now, the stitches are naturally falling off. And my hand is underneath. See my pinky peeking out? And just slowly turn. And my hand is turning the work also. And now I got my work out. I'll move my machine. And here we have it. We start, let me just take this out. And slowly I'm going to put my yarn through the center so I can undo it. Not undo it, but I can take apart the big tube. There, and slowly I'm opening it up. Isn't this pretty shades of green? Love the Ferris wheel yarn. The Ferris wheel yarn works really well on the Addis. I think it's because it's a little bit thinner. Even though it's a number 4 yarn, it's just on the thinner side. And my piece measures, I know I said I was going to measure this and let you know how big it is. So let me do that. Let me double it because it's super long. Let's see how this measures. Stretch it a little bit. My piece measures about, looks like it's about 80 inches. I'm going to add a J hook, and on the end, here, I'm going to start picking up the stitches that you can see where the waste yarn is kind of framing this last row here. I'm going to pick up this first stitch very carefully because I don't want to unravel the waste yarn. Do a chain 1, and then I'm going to chain another one and do a half double crochet, and on the next stitch do a half double crochet. Just do a half double crochet all the way around. Now I know sometimes it might be a little bit difficult to see the stitches, but if you put this on a bigger screen, you watch the video on a bigger screen, you'll see it better. Let me just grab my yarn. Here it's getting all twisted up. So again, I'm doing half double crochets in the stitches that you can see here that are framed by the waste yarn. And I'm going to keep doing this till I get to the other end, and I'll meet you when I'm there. Thank you. I made 1 row of half double crochets. Now the next row I'm going to chain 1. I'm going to do another row of half double crochets. And actually we'll do 2 more rows of half double crochets. So altogether it'll be half double crochets, or 3 rows of half double crochets. And I'll meet you when we get to the end. When you get to the end of the second half double crochet, you can go ahead and start removing your waste yarn. I'm just going to do that right now. And before I even do that, let me put a stitch marker here so that I don't lose my stitches. doesn't unravel there. So I'm just removing my waste yarn. And I just got to the end of this second half double crochet row. And I'll be doing another one here. Okay, so I'm going to do another row of half double crochet, and I'll meet you when I get to the end. I did my 3 half double crochet rows. Now on the final 2 rows, I'm going to do 2 rows of single crochet just to firm it up. So just two rows of single crochet all the way around, and I'll meet you when I get to the end. So I finished the 3 rows of half double crochet and 2 rows of single crochet. So now here we have the hat side. I'm also tucking in my yarn, which I always do. It just gives it a nice finished look. So this side will be the hat. This is our hat side. Now on the opposite end, I'm gonna make a nice tassel, nice long tassel. But before I do that, I'm gonna cinch up my yarn, just close it off here. And then, once I close this off, I'll show you how to make a tassel, and what I'll be using is a DVD box. So if you have a DVD box or something that's around that size, that'll work. And I'll show you that trick too, just a second. So let me just close this off here. Okay. Now it's kind of hard to see how this is gonna look. So at the end, I'll show you a picture of it on a mannequin. To add a nice touch to the end of the scarf, we're gonna make a tassel. Nice big floppy tassel. So I'm gonna use a CD case. If you don't have a CD case, anything that's about 5.5 or 6 inches will work. Even a couple pieces of cardboard. And I'm going to wind this around the DVD case 100 times. So this is, let me start over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm gonna continue like this till I get to 100, and I'll meet you when I get there. I'm now on row 100, or 100 turns, let's say. And I'm gonna take a piece of yarn. I'm gonna slip this underneath all the rounds of the yarn that we did. And I'm going to, actually, let me put this on the other end. It'll probably be easier. I'm gonna put this here. And I'm gonna tie this so that I don't lose any of the pieces. Tie it nice and tight. Once, and then again, surgeon's knot. Okay. Now here, what's nice about using a DVD case is I can go ahead and slip my yarn in the little groove there. And there I have a nice floppy. And then just to make sure, I'm going to tie it again. So once I have my tassel, I'm going to flip this over on the other side and also tie it again, just to make sure it's nice and secure. Nice and tight. Okay, so here we have our nice big floppy tassel. Now if there's any long pieces or pieces that look out of place, you can always just trim them. Let's see if I have my scissors here. Here they are. You can always give it a little trim. And then on the other end of my scarf, I'm going to reach in. I'm going to take my crochet hook. I'm going to slip it in here so that I can pull the strings through from the tassel. It's pretty much in the center. Just pull them through. And then reach into the inside and see where my strings are. Here they are, right here. I'm going to tie them. And also, I had one other string left here. I'm going to pull this string through also, and I'm going to tie this, not string, yarn. I'm going to put it through here. And I'm also going to tie this to the strings with the tassel, kind of to give it an extra, secure it a little bit more. Again, I'm going to scoot here. This is a very big scarf, so it's kind of hard to get to the center of it. Here we go. So here are my two strands. Here are my two strands that I pulled through. And I'm going to tie that together. Tie it together. And we're almost done. I want to thank everyone again for watching my videos and liking them. And please subscribe if you haven't. I'll finish off with a picture of how this looks on a model. So this is the hat portion. This is the scarf portion. It'll wrap around. This is actually quite lovely, and I really appreciate all of your support, and thank you so much for watching my videos. And let me know if you have any ideas for some other products. I do have a hat coming up that will be made on the small Addi. Look forward to that. And you guys have a great day. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.